Hello! This video is inspired by a video made by Abby about living with change. In it, she talks about the meaning of home and how it affects us when that changes and how we live with that change. This is a really fascinating topic when we think about the time we're at in our lives where we're moving out and creating our own homes. And I've actually given this quite a lot of thought before this, and it will be nice to just share it and have it all in the video. So the first time I moved away from home, it didn't really feel like moving out. It felt more like going on a year-long adventure, since I was going to what we in Norway call folk high school. It's basically an arranged gap year where you learn to grow up socially and have a lot of fun. Then the second time, I moved away from home was going to university. I knew I wouldn't finish the degree I started on, so it really didn't feel like moving away from home this time either. I ended up staying just half a year, so it was just as permanent as I thought it would be. When I went back to uni again, my home had kind of started to fall apart. We were selling my childhood home, my parents weren't living together anymore. It was all in uproar. So I sat down and thought, how can I make my home in Trondheim actually feel like a home? And I figured it out. For me, home is where my bookshelf is. This was a so strongly held sentiment that it became my Tumblr username, and it's the inspiration behind this channel's name. I simply decided I would bring my collection of books, maybe trim it down a little, but bring the bulk of my collection to Trondheim and have that in my house. That worked really well. I felt like I'd moved out, I felt like I'd established myself in a home of my own. Of course, I always refer back to my parents and everything, but I felt like I was separate from them. I had two homes now. Home with my parents and home at university. Since then, I've moved my book collection around with me. I've also made my rooms a home by decorating them in the style that I like or with posters that I like. Just give it my identity. So here the question of change arises. How do I deal with short-term change? And what do I do when I need to go to Svalbard for 6 weeks? I actually spent quite a lot of time thinking about it and worrying about it. And then finally I figured that since I couldn't bring my actual bookshelf with me, I would bring the next best thing, a picture of my bookshelf. So before I went, I took a picture of each of my two bookshelves and got them printed at a print shop and brought them with me. I also brought a lot of the art that I already had. I picked some down from the walls and brought some out of storage. I also brought some small things to just have around. I'm the type of person who really likes stability and a safe place to come home to. And I realised as I stepped inside the door today and I'd had a little bit of a stressful day revising for exams, this was home. This was a place to relax and just be me. And that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted, and I have it now. So that's how I deal with change, at least change in location. I bring some of home with me. I think for me, this is what home is. It's objects and a place and things that I am comfortable with that represent me. Something to give you the impression that, okay, it's Julie who lives here. So now I will treat you to a little room tour, especially showing you the things I brought from home. Welcome to my room in Svalbard. Just inside the door we find this card, which reminds me to imagine world peace. And then followed by this little piece. Then we have these pieces of art, which I've just cut out of a calendar. This is my desk area with shelves. I have some cards here as well. And then on the shelves I have my favourite bookmarks, and on the shelf above, a blue giraffe. All these books are library books, and all the stones I have here and on the next shelf I've just found outside. This is the wall beside my desk. On my bedside table we find this little creature, and in the windowsill we find this one. Of course I had to bring my polar bear to the land of polar bears. And I have some cards and pictures from back home to hang over my bed. This is the rest of the wall above my bed. I also have this card just hanging out on the spare wall. And last, but certainly not least, pictures of my bookshelves back home. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Ha det!